All right, so welcome back to another amazing episode of Edit Career School's The Scoop with your host, Kathy Belletti. So today is going to be very important, so I hope you have your pen and paper out because we're talking about retention. Remember, your advisors, they put so much work into enrolling these students. They spend all day on the phone, they're interviewing. And in some cases, when we get students to start class, I know a lot of you are wondering 1 to 2 weeks after, where'd they go? Where are they? So now we have to get to the bottom of what is causing so many students to drop 1 to 2 weeks after. And guess what? I have with me a specialist who can actually speak on that topic. Miss Alicia Martinez. See, she is the student retention manager at Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. I know I screwed that up, didn't I?
A little bit, but most people do.
Welcome, Alicia. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for being here. So, Alicia, just to let you know, I always start off by asking everyone this question as far as how did their journey start in higher education? Because everyone's story varies drastically, and I mean drastically. But for you, I want to know, how did you transition from Chicagoland singles to admissions?
It's really funny. I think that especially when I first started into admissions, we were all working in office. Now we're at home, but everybody had that question.
Really?
Going from a dating company to admissions is definitely, it seems like it's a drastic change, but it really isn't. Chicagoland Singles was a high-end dating service. I did sales of the memberships, add-ons, things like that. And then I did matchmaking, which was really fun and really cool. But I think the biggest thing was, it's definitely, you want to sell that product, right? You want to showcase why it matters to go there. And I think that it relates, perfectly to admissions of why it makes sense to come to that institution, to that school. So I'd say the biggest transition was I was just looking for new opportunities, a different route of growth. And I think that, even just listening to some of the previous podcasts, everybody kind of says the same thing of, I kind of just stumbled into it.
Exactly.
It wasn't planned. But I started at Escoffier about 4 years ago now, working on my 5th year. And I've been here ever since. So I started as an advisor, and I loved it. I think that it meshed really well with my personality, and it was something that I was great at. And so it just really was a seamless transition for me, into this industry.
Wow, that's interesting. So how did you now transition into retention coming from admissions?
Yes. So my school, specifically will have a team of advisors, and then we'll have a retention manager that helps them focus on the retention of our students. So whether we call it stitching, back end, really making sure that we're working the process, the student, and that we're really just giving them all of the information needed to really, progress forward in a positive way. And so I was an advisor for about 2-3 years, I want to say. And my then student manager, I loved working with him. I loved his process and everything, I just really saw myself in that role. And that's what I focused on. I focused on assisting in every way possible, and doing extra work. And I think that being an admissions advisor just came so naturally to me. I was able to really take on, extra stuff to kind of get there. So, luckily I was able to get that. Well, it's not luck, it's work and luck, right? I was able to kind of make that transition into my role. And now I've been a retention manager for about 2 years, coming on 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So what is the main objective of your role as a retention manager?
Yeah, I think the biggest and the main objective is to start the students, right? Enrolling them, going through that process is truly just half the battle, especially working in career education. A lot of students have push this off, specifically for our student population.
Absolutely.
It's a very passion-based industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are so many other things that are going on in their lives. And that's something that I preach to my advisors continuously. This is our job, but at the end of the day, these are their lives. And so, being able to really identify the issues that are happening, and being able to work through that, being able to strategize, being able to work through these issues is really the core of what my role is.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside of that, making sure that the advisors know the process and know it well, and are able to, effectively move our students through it so that we can start them.
That's interesting. So would you say that you are more over the stitch process after the student enrolls?
Definitely. So my goal is to really hone in. I'm more rep facing than student facing.
Mm-hmm.
I meet with them one-on-one every week. I have a team of 18 right now. It was 21 before. So a lot of meetings. But I
I
think
could
the biggest
imagine.
thing is, as an advisor, that initial goal is to enroll. Like that is what we're focused on, right? But that's truly only half the battle. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that having somebody there to remind advisors of, okay, yes, we got them enrolled and you worked hard for that, but now we need to really, get them through this hump, which can be, finalizing financial aid and all of those documents, or going through orientation, getting in high school diplomas, all of that stuff that just isn't the fun part of starting school.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what I'm focusing in on, and helping, my reps understand why it's important, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore showcasing, from the rep to the student why it's important.
Let me tell you, your advisors are blessed to have you because most schools do not have a retention manager. I always say that the job really starts at the enrollment, because let's get real, anybody can enroll a student.
Right,
Okay,
right.
you can get an 8-year-old and have them read from a script, and if the student is motivated enough, they're going to enroll. But once that happens, that's when everything starts, that follow-up process, that stitch. And in a lot of schools, that's actually on the advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And they hate it. Let me tell you, it's the worst part of every advisor's role. It's their nightmare. So to have someone like you who's like, listen, this is what needs to happen. This person hasn't been contacted in X, Y, and Z, and you're coaching them on how to really prepare these students to start class. That team is blessed to have you because most schools do not have that person. A little
Right.
jealous.
And I do think that it's a missed, opportunity for
Yes, it
so many
is.
schools. If we start to really compare and contrast, if we have somebody there who can focus on the small things, because the small
Mm-hmm.
things really build up to those big moments.
Absolutely.
Right? So if we have somebody there who's able to kind of catch maybe what a rep can't day to day, I always
Mm-hmm.
kind of explain it as like, I get bird's eye view, right? I get to pull the reports, I get to look at all of the
Yeah.
stuff, and I get to input all of the data to say, okay, this is what I'm noticing. These are the trends. And I think that if, more schools took that opportunity to really dig deep into the back end,
Mm-hmm.
you'd see such an influx of students actually starting. Because to your point, that enrollment is one of the easier parts of going to school. You're
Yes.
excited to go to school, you're ready until you're not, right? And so we
There
have
you
to
go.
have a process there to catch those people in those moments, and how to effectively, move them through that issue. So that's really, the part of the job that I do love, is being able to assist the reps and the coaching and all of that fun stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Really critical part. So let me ask you this. In your experience, where do you see the enrollment process kind of falling off? Because this is where a lot of schools are not able to kind of pinpoint, right? Sometimes an advisor will be on the phone and they're like, you know what, this person seems super excited. The parent is supportive and they're calling me every day. And then boom, ghost. They stop communicating. They're not answering phone calls, text messages, emails, and it's like, what is happening? In your experience, where do you see that ball dropped, or where do you see the process?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. And I think that there's no one specific answer, right? You know, it really is dependent per student. That's one of the hardest things of our industry is it's people-based. So there's not one thing that, you know, we can say, but I think that one of the bigger things is, you know, a lot of times when students go MIA or, you know, just stop getting it back into contact with you, there was something in that first call, maybe a concern, maybe, you know, something. It could be anything, you know, we all have our script and our questions that we ask. And I think a big component of that is ensuring that we're listening and we're listening to listen and we're not listening to respond.
There you go.
You know, and as advisors, I feel like we're always trying to be like one step ahead, right? Ready for an objection, ready for a no, and what are 10 different things I can say to that. But, you know, if we really take that opportunity in that moment to, yes, of course, be prepared, but also just really listen to what's going on, we can catch our students explaining a lot of the reasons why eventually they do and will go MIA, right? Whether it's financial, whether it's time. And it's something that I preach to my reps continuously, right? You have to listen to what's going on and don't be afraid of hard conversations early on. If you have that hard conversation, you know, whether it's financial, time commitment, support, if you talk about it right then and there without the fear of maybe losing the enrollment, you know, you have that opportunity to really make an impact, and making an impact is where we make a difference.
Exactly. I love that. Two things that you brought up that really hit home. Number one, listening when it comes to beginning. You know what? Some advisors, they have a tendency to be so on the surface, right? Why do you want to do this? Oh, because I want to help people. Well, go be a firefighter. There's so many different things that you can do to help people, right?
Right.
But asking the why behind the why. Why do you need this? Oh, well, I need to make more money. Okay, yeah, but what is that money going to do for you?
Right.
That answer is what's going to help you to continue to connect the dots when these people stop responding. And what's happening is a lot of times they don't have anything in their toolbox to use. So when these students stop responding to their phone calls, they can't even go back to their notes and go, so this person wanted to do this because they don't even have anything to use.
They have that superficial answer, right?
Exactly,
That's not
right?
how you make an impact.
And the second thing you said was objections. Advisors are so quick to handle an objection without finding out what the actual objection is. So it's like financial aid. Someone says, oh, I'm really concerned about financial aid. They automatically jump to, well, you know, financial aid is offered for those who qualify. Yeah, but you don't even know what the concern is. If you ask an additional question, so what is it about financial aid? Well, my friend owes all this money to student loan. Ah, okay. So your friend screwed up.
Right.
Now we can address that. But I think that sometimes we let students off the phone without understanding their true why. So when they continue to research and talk to other schools who are able to really grasp why they want to do this, they're gone. And there's no reason for them to come back either.
No, and there's not, especially if we don't provide that, you know, the fact of I'm listening and I'm listening to actually assist you, right? I always explain the application process to my reps as kind of like a roller coaster. You know, you're going through and you're asking the questions and they're getting excited, explaining about the passion, and you hit the application and that's the top. But as soon as we get through that application process, it's like, oh, you know, it's getting serious. The tuition's real. This is real. What am I doing? You know, and so, you know, they hit that rock bottom. And a big thing is, you know, we have to do a temperature check after we complete the application. You know, when we're calling them 24 hours later, we have to do another temperature check to really feel like, where are they at, right? Because there's going to be two separate answers. One, they're going to go ahead and say, I'm excited, great, awesome, we're going to roll with that, right? We're going to take that excitement. But if we hear that they're timid or they're nervous, you know, now we should have a little ring, ding, ding, ding.
Exactly.
Wrong, right? But if we don't take that time to do that in the beginning, there's no reason for them to have that rapport with you, because you've proven that you're not really listening and you don't really care. And as much as we'd like to think that we can play that off, at the end of the day, a lot of people can kind of see through some of that stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, especially this population. And you
Mhm.
brought up the 24-hour call, and I was talking about that buyer's remorse call. It doesn't matter how excited a student is on the phone or when they leave your campus. The part of the conversation that you are not present for is what happens at dinner time when the husband and wife is discussing, hey, for school. And the
Right.
wife goes, hold on for a second, time out. We're about to buy a home. How are we supposed to afford this, right?
Exactly.
Or we don't even know what the parent is saying. Hey, mom, I just applied for school. What are you doing? I just told you to go down there and get information. No one told
Mhm.
you to apply for anything, right?
Right.
We missed that opportunity. We miss the student. But then also what I love saying is the closer they get to the class start, just like you were saying before, those false beliefs, they start to roll back in. Reality hits home. Holy crap, I'm doing this? Wait, I'm working part-time. Holy crap, I have kids running around. I
Mhm.
haven't been in school in years. But the thing is, what they don't realize is you already spoke with them and you already helped them develop a plan, and all of that went out the window because of fear.
It's that panic, of course.
Exactly. That is crazy. Well, let me ask you this. If you had the opportunity to talk to every advisor or every staff member when it comes to retention, what would you say to them? What advice would you have for them?
I think that number one, find something of a consistent, if your school doesn't provide a plan or a
Mm-hmm.
goal in mind, find something that is consistent with your student population. Every student population is going to be different, right?
Right.
And I think that if you can strategize a plan that you can implement every single time you talk to your students, right? So whether it's a 24-hour call and then, keeping outreach no more than 2 days, I think contact is a really big thing, right? So making sure that we're continuously in contact with them. I think one of the biggest things as advisors that we miss a big opportunity in is once they complete everything that's needed, it's kind of like, okay,
Bye.
my job's done.
You get to go.
Right. And I mean, for some schools, that's fine because, maybe you're not in charge of that next step. For
Mm-hmm.
my school specifically, the advisors are really in charge of that through, our conditional enrollment period. So, they really have to work hard to stay in contact, keep them motivated. And to your point, helping them strategize a game plan for fitting school into their life. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, we are an online program, so it's a little bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you don't have that opportunity, making sure that you have a strategic game plan in place and making sure that you're staying consistent within that. Find what works
Absolutely.
and run with it. That organization piece is so key to being successful, especially as you start to enroll at a higher rate, right? If you have 5 students, yeah, you can be scattered. That's fine.
Exactly.
If you have 20, 30, 40 students,
Be
things
some structure.
that, yeah, you start to kind of lose your mind a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
making sure you have a place to kind of put all the information, who I need to follow up with, what is needed, and then a set routine of how do I now get them through each and every step.
Got it. Love it. Well, this is one question that I also ask everyone. Where do you see the future of career education?
You know, it has been such a crazy 4 years of COVID, all of that stuff just
Mm-hmm.
really changed everything. And I think that I'm just seeing more and more students, especially after COVID, really follow their passion, right? And they realize maybe I got laid off with my work, or they realize, oh, I was at home for a couple months and I realized that I hated my job. So I do think that
That's a
there's
good
going to
point.
be an influx of,
Mm-hmm.
and there has been, right? But I do think it'll continue. People, finding that it's not just about working to work, they're really trying to find their career within that also kind of, corresponds with their passions. So I think that as long as, we're implementing all of the proper, material, so the scripts and following through, it has a potential of really growing. And I'm definitely excited to see, what happens, especially in the culinary industry, just because it's becoming more and more, accepted, and all of the TV shows and everything around it, it's really starting to become a bigger thing and a more respected thing. So I definitely, look forward to what this looks like even in the next 3 years. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, no, that was actually awesome. I'm about to throw you a curveball. When you are not knee deep in work, what do you like to do in your free time?
Yes, so I have a dog. So we do a lot of hiking, going outside. He is a pit bull, so super high energy. So he takes up so much of my time, but I absolutely love it. And him. I do a lot of live music. I'm in Illinois.
Really?
Yeah, so in Illinois, so pretty close to Chicago. I head over there. They have like blues bars, jazz bars, the Blues Fest, all of that, all of those types of things. I really like being outside.
Mhm.
But I think that my goal this year is to travel a little bit more and kind of see what else
Ah,
is out there.
love it, love it. Well, before we go, Alicia, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, number one, I just wanted to thank you for your time and thank
Oh,
you for
thank you.
having me. But I think that the biggest thing, if there's any takeaway, is that the back end truly is one of the most important components to our jobs, and it doesn't feel like it, especially most schools have that enrollment kind of focus and energy. But at the end of the day, starting these students is what is funding everything, right?
There you
So
go.
the enrollments are great and important, but I always say that's almost like the easier part. Some people might not agree, right? Some people are like, I struggle to enroll. What is she talking about?
Uh-huh.
But if you get to a point where you understand what you're doing and it's simple and easy, I would really challenge you to then focus on how can I do the same thing on the back end, and you'll just realize how much easier your life at work will get. And the easiest way to do that, like I said, is to strategize, organize, and really implement that plan and stick to it.
Love it. Love it. Let me tell you, Alicia, thank you so much for being here today. I definitely appreciate your role. And I know a lot of schools that's listening to this is going to be very jealous that they do not have a you. Okay. But I really hope that you guys were taking notes, because this right here is the key. We have to get to a point where we're not just focused on the enrollment, because you know how the game goes. You tell an advisor to enroll, otherwise we're going to be having a different conversation. Guess what they're going to do? They're just going to enroll. But is that what we're really about? It's about starting students. And if they don't start and finish, then we didn't truly help them. All right, Alicia, thank you so much for dropping these amazing gems today. I know you've inspired a lot of people. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too. I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. I have been working diligently to bring awareness to career schools. There's so much that they have to offer our students and our community. Every single role within the admissions process is critical, whether you're a part of the admissions team, financial aid, career services, academics, everyone deserves a voice. Admissions is the first point of contact for your school, so you want to ensure that you have a team who exudes confidence, passion, and a clear understanding of effective communication with our potential students. I totally understand the pain of missed class starts, low appointment and enrollment conversions, and this is why I created Next Level Admissions Training by Motivate with K.A.T. This platform is a step-by-step process, and it is going to train your new and tenured advisors in every single step of the enrollment process to ensure that our students are inspired and they're ready and prepared to start class. Admissions is not easy. It can be very challenging, but it's definitely worth it. So if you're ready to take your school to the next level, head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com and check out Next Level Admissions.